everybody, and welcome to another presentation and demonstration of the Automatiko project. This time we are going to look at a support for the service built based on the workflows with the GraphQL interface. So to get started, we use one of the typical examples we have in the Automatiko. So we use the vacation request, and vacation request is simply to allow employees to request vacations according to their eligible and used days and so on. So here we have the main process that we start for each employee at the beginning of the year. So it will calculate how many vacations is available for a particular employee. Then we have the assigned manager that is responsible for approving the vacation request, and at any point in time employee can request vacations, and the vacations are processed by a separate sub-process which is handling here. So we have the options to manage the approvals, manage the cancellation, and we can cancel unless or until we actually start the vacation. So here is all the business logic behind that. So with that, it's a fully featured service that will generate a REST API. So let's get started with that. So we just quickly start the service. In our particular case, we're starting to in development mode, so we can easily perform changes to the service itself. Once the service is started, we'll be able to look at the interface of the service, which in this case will be an open API service. So let's just go here, localhost and Swagger. Let's see if it's not yet running. Let's refresh it, and now it's running. So here we have our complete interface of the service. As you can see, it is fully generated based on the information retrieved from the workflow, and we can at any point in time create new instances for a particular employee. Here it requires authentication, so we have a set of users created. If you're interested in getting more details on what is actually needed to get it going, here we have the complete README file, including the payloads and so on. So this is focusing on the REST API. So now we would like to have pretty much the same functionality, but instead of having REST API that is described in Open API definition, we would like to have the GraphQL instead. So to do that, we first of all need to add a dependency, right? Oh, sorry, just do first. So what we add the GraphQL from _i, and once we save it, since we are running in development mode, the application should reload. It should create all the required endpoints, generate the API in the GraphQL manner. So let's go back here and just see if we already have that. And then we have GraphQL UI. So it's instead of Swagger UI, we have the GraphQL UI, and we can load that. And I can see we already have the GraphQL available. So let's look at the docs. And here we have queries, mutation, and subscription. So for instance, if we want to look at the mutation, here it is what we can actually do with that. That's similar to what we can do in our REST API. We can do that through the GraphQL. So we can create a vacation process instance, a workflow instance that will track the individual employee operations. We have the options to delete, we have the resign, so if employee is quitting, that we can signal it. We have the signals to submit, and this is pretty much to create new vacation requests that are actually described here. So through this one, the signal comes in, and we can perform the operations on that. So with that in mind, we have the options to actually look at, for instance, fully type based. So we have, for instance, that let's see, okay, get all vacations, and we want to see that for a particular user. This is protected workflow instances, so only eligible users will be able to look at it. So let's use John, and here we can actually now specify, okay, I want to see the ID of that instance. I want to see the employee, and from the employee I want to look at the first name, last name, and manager, right? So if we run this, we obviously don't get anything because we haven't started anything yet. So let's get started. I actually have a quick, so we don't have to type it in as we present that, so I can just comment this out. And here we have creating using the mutation, the create vacations with the data of employee John Doe, started at this date and in the finance department. At the same time, I can immediately retrieve the information that are interesting to me. So right now, if I just run this, I immediately get the information out of the execution because the workflow instance has been created, manager has been assigned, and it's pretty much the same because we use the John as the manager for pretty much anything in this example. And then we have the vacation that were calculated, that we have eligible days 20 and the use are 0. So looking at that, we can get here into our REST API, try it out to search for it. As you can see, we have exact same data here. So both endpoints use the same backend, so it has access to all the process data as we go, and enforce the same security requirements, but we have now two different types of APIs we can interact with depending on the requirements. So let's take one more thing and, for instance, look at, I want to create a new submit a new vacation request, and this is from the November 1st to November 3rd, and it's going to be a travel of 3 days length. So again, I want to see what will be remaining from the vacation standpoint for that particular user after I'm submitting this part. So once I submit it, I can already see the eligible days are still 20, which is expected, but now use days are 3. So with that, we can actually take a look at the vacation request from the task point of view. So we can as well see what are the assigned tasks here, because based on the definition of our process of workflow, we have 2 tasks assigned. Since we are both, the John user is both the who requested that and who is the manager, we see both that we have the approval task and we have the cancel task. So for instance, this form ring is quite useful as well, because you can open another window, just go localhost 8080, and if I'm not mistaken, it will give us the form directly for that particular part. And then right, so we have the task, so we can immediately complete it. For instance, then we approve that, and if we run the same tasks here, we already have the cancel. So the task is already approved, but now employees still have a chance to cancel it until it reaches the date when it is actually starting. So it's not possible to start it anymore because of this timer event here. So cancel vacation request is only available until the date, the first day of the vacation when it started. It's not possible to cancel it anymore. So with that, I would like to thank you very much for listening, and hopefully the GraphQL interface becomes useful, because you can still rely on the extremely valuable backend services, but you don't have to fetch and push all the data constantly. So this is of a much of optimization. And lastly, that I didn't mention before, you can see the queries themselves, but we have the subscription too. So we can use the subscription in a constant receiving input of data, and this is pretty much giving you the same information that we have, but with this it will be pushed back to you. So once you subscribe to a particular type of event, we have the completed, created, in error, aborted. So those will be notifying you across the execution of the process instances. Furthermore, we can extend that even more with additional customized subscription. So for instance, we can get subscribed for a particular events coming in, such as new request of application from the employees. So with that, I would like to once again thank you very much, and till the next time. Thank you.